welcome to a new episode of Let's Get It Right with me, your host, Vernon Wright. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at The Right Leader, hashtag. That's impact the right way. So you see today that I have someone with me on the show. I'm actually filming in person. I know this is a change because usually I film virtually. But we have a treat today. It is my honor, privilege, and absolute pleasure to have with me, as you see, this gentleman here, Dr. Michael McFarland. Dr. McFarland, happy to have you on the show.
Glad to be here.
So Dr. McFarland is here with us today, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about an organization you might not know about. Some of you may know about it already. Either way, this is a great opportunity for us to enrich our minds. We know that as educators, we are lifelong learners. So with that being said, what I want to do is go ahead and just ask Dr. McFarland a few questions, if that's okay with you, sir.
No doubt.
Okay, very good. Absolutely. That's our pleasure here on the show.
All right.
And so what I want to do is start out by asking you, Dr. McFarland, you are a newly elected in November.
Yeah,
is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Newly elected president of the organization he's getting ready to tell you about. And I want to go ahead and just ask you to share with us how you came into play with the organization, what the organization is. Just share with the people out there that are watching you. Tell us a little bit about it.
So, first of all, the organization is the National Alliance of Black School Educators. Okay. And so it's an organization that's actually been around since 1970. Okay. Again, the name kind of gives you an idea that we are a group of educators that's really focused on elevating the issues that are relevant to students within our African American schools, or students from African descent, as well as African American leaders and other leaders who's serving in those schools where students are present. The reality is, for me, how I got engaged as a student. I graduated from Jasper High School, small country town, and I just didn't see a lot of educators that looked like me as I was going through my system. And it was not until I attended my first NABSE conference that I saw African-American doctors and assistant superintendents and superintendents, and I began to see myself in them. This was an organization that brought together these outstanding superintendents to have dialogue and conversations in areas and in situations that I'd never heard before. And so this organization was something that was attractive to me at a very early age of my educational career, and I'm just honored to be able to be in that role as the president at this point.
Very good. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You are now schooled, because we are educators. You are schooled at what NABSE is. And Dr. McFarland, of course, has graciously shared with us a little bit of background about the organization and how he came to be a part of the organization. And I want to say this, Dr. McFarland, I appreciate you saying that, because about role models, because I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, there are students in our campuses across the nation and across the world and their minds are looking for role models that look like them. And that's what we're here to talk about.
No doubt.
Okay.
All right.
So, Dr. McFarland, we have talked a little bit about the organization, how you came to be affiliated with it, how you became involved with it. What would you say, Dr. McFarland, would be on your list of focal points of things that you would want to do with the organization for the 2019 year?
No doubt. It's a great question. I guess what I like to do is kind of go back and talk a little bit about why the organization was created, because what I'm wanting to do is to take the original purpose of our organization and really take it forward to rebrand and re-energize the organization so that we can continue to prepare our kids, creating a vehicle where other educators and other community leaders could get together, have conversations and dialogue about the experience that our kids were receiving in these integrated schools. They realized that, hey, there's research out there that's specific and directly focused on educating African American students. What we need to do is highlight that, make sure that we're promoting the work that we are doing here, because there were researchers at that point in time that couldn't get their information, their research published because of the times. And so what they said was, instead of us attempting to join another group, let's create our own. That's what led to the formation of this organization at its very beginning, 1970. We know what happened in 68. We know about 54. We know that all the things that were going on quite frankly, many schools are just recently actually got released from the desegregation order, and they're currently going back to segregation. We know that, but that's another story. But going back to where we are right now. So your question was, so how does the beginning of our organization impact where we are today? Well, we're almost 50 years later, right?
Correct.
And today, we know that we have, when we look at our education of our African American students, what we know is that there is a significant issue with access to early childhood. So we talk about the achievement gap, but there are opportunity gaps. So as educators, the African American educators, this is something that we know the answers to the questions that's being asked. What we have to continue to do is what you're doing, elevating the educator's voice. The National Alliance of Black School Educators, our focus going forward is going to be to elevate the voice of the educator, whether it's African American, white, or Hispanic. The one thing that's unifying us is that you are concerned about the outcomes of the African American child. And so the first priority for us is really to make sure that we're having programming within our national and the state affiliates around increasing student performance in the area of STEM, increasing access to early education.
And Dr. McFarland, for those out there in the audience that may not be familiar with STEM, tell us about what STEM stands for. What is STEM about?
So really STEM, of course, it stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. And so what we got to do is make sure that as early as possible and as often as we can, that we're exposing students to the career opportunities in science, technology, engineering, and math. What we know is by 2030, the time that most of our kids in school right now will be entering the workforce, we know STEM careers will be one of the most heavily available options for students.
And it's my understanding, Dr. McFarland, again, for those that are out there in the audience that are watching this, the statistics have shown that minorities are underrepresented in the STEM fields. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. And that's why our first priority is really to make sure that affiliates and associations across the nation that are connected with NABSE, that as we're coming together with learning opportunities and professional development opportunities and programming, that STEM, early childhood, and literacy, that those three areas are really the focal point of what we'll do and the focal point of the activities and the learning experiences that we're creating. That's our first priority. That's our need today. And so as we talk about this organization, what I believe is important is that we are sensitive to the needs that we have today, and that we're not looking outside the room for the solution. We're looking inside, and we're creating a room where we can develop the solutions from people that have the experiences, have the passion, and that understand what's needed by students of African descent.
And that's the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, we're having this video today, and that's the reason why we're having this conversation. I'm reminded, Dr. McFarland, as you talk through this, when I was in graduate school and I was an aspiring school leader.
Okay.
And we talked about, when we got around to the part about how the community was involved and how our schools perform and how they function, that it was important to have all stakeholders involved.
No doubt.
And so I just want to affirm you again for sharing that with us, because we know that it's important for us, ladies and gentlemen, to have everyone at the table with a seat and to be a part of the conversation and dialogue, so that we can all come together collectively and come up with solutions that help all students.
No doubt, no doubt.
Okay.
You know, I had a friend, you made me think, I had a friend that has a statement, and she says, we have to be at the table, because if we're not at the table, we may be on the menu.
Okay, right. So did you get that?
So we have to be at the table.
Did you get that, ladies and gentlemen?
We have to be at the table with solutions and ideas. Otherwise, we may end up on the agenda.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. McFarland gave you a great quote there. I hope that you had time to kind of get that in and digest that and think about that. If not, you'll have some time a little bit later. We're getting ready to go into the next question. Is that okay with you, Dr. McFarland?
That's great. That's great.
Okay. Let's go into the next question. So, Dr. McFarland, for the audience out there, I said that we would go ahead and go into the next question.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I want to make sure that I hold up my end of what I promised and obligated to. So that brings us to this. We've talked a little bit about, with the audience out there, the background of NABSE, your involvement with NABSE, some things that are on your radar screen, some initiatives that you're thinking about and that you're already actively working on promoting. As we do that and we think about that, going forward, how would you go ahead and say that people can see NABSE grow into not only a national voice, but an international voice. What would you say about NABSE growing and spreading the message to even more people?
Well, you know that I think we start off for sure by looking at leadership. So what we know is our strategy at the national level is to develop and to cultivate leaders, because what we know is as leaders begin to ascend to different positions within their district, as leaders move to the budget manager's position and other positions, then we know we will have the ability to then attract others. And so we're really focused on leadership development and also career advancement. And so you mentioned being an aspiring administrator at the time of past. What we have now is that we identify aspiring administrators now, and we have aspiring administrators academies. We bring in seasoned superintendents, seasoned principals, seasoned central office administrators, and they spend time pouring into the next generation. Now, what happens is, from a strategy standpoint, as we are moving forward, the current leaders are moving forward, we are training those that are coming behind us, because for us, sustainability is important. 50 years, we've been around for almost 50 years. And what our goal is to make sure that 50 years from now, we're still around. The way we do that is by maintaining strong leadership pipelines, leadership development pipelines, career advancement. I want for African American educators across the nation that when they decide to make a move, that they say, you know what, let me connect with NABSE. Let me see what opportunities are available. I want districts to be able to say that NABSE becomes this clearinghouse, this place they can go and connect and find upward mobile African American educators and other educators that are really interested in being in that environment. So for us, we think leadership is going to be important. Really, and that's really our priority 2. Priority 3 for us deals with research and making sure that we are publishing and we are documenting, we are writing the narrative of what's going on with our kids and how to address them. We think that's important as well. And then the last really priority is dealing with legislation. We recognize that there are laws and there are things that are being made right now that in some cases are not to our benefit. What we know is that it's important for us to build collaboration with other organizations and associations so that we can, where we have common interests, we can actually push the agenda forward. That's our goal, is really to reach out and make sure that in leadership, with legislation, and with research, that we are engaged and that we are a voice to be reckoned with.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It's about looking at the different parts of the organization, not only how Dr. McFarland has become involved with the group, how he has seen it evolve over time, the initiatives, including STEM, and we know that that is very popular for all students, but we do know as well, the statistics show that minorities are underrepresented in STEM study as well as STEM careers.
No doubt.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. McFarland, with his extensive knowledge, has told us a lot about NABSE, its history, your own involvement with the organization, how he has seen it grow over the years as the president now, newly elected in November 2018. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Congratulations to you, sir. How he is focusing on its growth for 2019 and beyond, and the things that he has in mind. With that being said, I want to go ahead and ask you a question, Dr. McFarland. It's been great information. It's been great having you on the show.
All right.
If someone's sitting at home and they're out there in the audience and they're saying, you know what, I like this. I like what I'm hearing. This is awesome. I like the history, where it's going. I like Dr. McFarland's charisma on camera. How could they get involved? For the person that's sitting out there and saying, you know what, I like everything that I'm seeing in this episode, but what are my next steps? How can they move forward?
Well, you know, it's a great question, and it's definitely an important question for us, because we are really trying to work really hard to reach out to educators that are out there that may not know about the National Alliance of Black School Educators. So I would suggest that you start off by following us on Twitter, and you'll see the Twitter handle on the screen, but it's NABSE.org. You also can follow me at NABSE President.org. And what we'll do is, once we get connected on Twitter, we also will start a dialogue, and I know you will hopefully let me know that you are watching DisruptED, and so that'll be great information. I also welcome you to send me an email and let me know what area of the country that you're in. Because once we find that out, what I would do is connect you with an affiliate in your area. If we don't have an affiliate in your area, that means your job is to start one, and we'll help you do that as well.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, connecting you with state affiliates. And as you said, when there's not a state affiliate, that's this thing that we call a grassroots organization.
No doubt.
Right? And so that's exciting for many of you out there. I know, and obviously you all know that I'm the interviewer. It's exciting for me to hear as well, knowing that the impact of NABSE is continuing to grow.
No doubt.
Okay?
No doubt. We're excited about it. No doubt.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. McFarland has shared with us some of the things that I've already mentioned. This brings us, Dr. McFarland, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, because we do have time constraints, it brings us to the end of this interview. And with that in mind, I want to just ask you, you're a veteran educator, a veteran leader, you've seen a lot of things, been involved with NABSE for a long time.
Right.
For the folks that are out there and they're watching this and they're saying, you know, Dr. McFarland, again, I've loved everything that has been in this episode. What would you leave them with as we close out the show?
Well, you know, it's a great question, because there's definitely a lot of things that I would want them to know about NABSE, but I can just simply say this, that I'm an educator. This is my 27th year as an educator, that I've been to many conferences and a part of many associations, last 11 years as superintendent. What I can say is this organization is the catalyst behind my being able to move to the positions I've been able to move to, and also to have the impact that I've been able to have. And it's because of the connections, the network, and the professional development opportunities that were created by us, for us. And what I'm telling you is this: you have the ability to do the same. You have the ability to connect with us. Join us on our journey as NABSE rise to new levels.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. McFarland has shared a variety of information with us today, and we have been so blessed and so honored and so privileged to have him here on the show. Thank you so much, Dr. McFarland, for being on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a treat. And this man is a very busy man, being the superintendent of a school district, so it's hard to catch up with him, but we made it happen today, and I'm very thankful to you for that, to you and your staff. Ladies and gentlemen, there it is. NABSE, its history, where it's going, and what it has as its points of focus. Dr. McFarland has given us information on how to get connected. Make sure you go ahead and do that. Share this episode and pay it forward, as I always say. And with that being said, always remember, feed your brain, feed your soul, and absolutely grow your role. That's impact the right way. See you next time.